Welcome to Creators Cut. Today on the show, I got Sylvan LaCue. How are you?
I'm good. We just doing the best that we can.
Yes. Just trying to be the best me.
Man, possibly.
That's all.
Exactly, folks.
So you dropped the Florida Man, a South Florida visual experience. All the videos, all the goodness, and we're going to just run through all of them.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to know everything. We got to get started with the trailer and I guess talk about how this idea arose. Like, I know a little bit of the backstory as far as your grandmother passing away and going back to Florida and wanting to highlight some of the artists there, but also just wanting to form a community. How would you sum up the creation behind this?
It was definitely like just very sporadic. I was going home to be home with my family, more than my grandmother. And just being back home, I hadn't been home like for a long period of time in a while, so being back home, you start seeing friends, people you grew up with, and a lot of the people that I grew up with were artists, rappers, you know. And I was a big freestyle artist going by Quest back in the day, so it just kind of all just started clicking. And, you know, I wanted to do a mixtape at first, and I was toying with the idea, and I was like, well, man, what does a mixtape kind of look like in today's climate? And I didn't want to go on streaming services or even on any of the, like, platforms like, you know, SoundCloud or whatnot. I really wanted to show like what South Florida was about, and so I brought Jonathan Benavente through and we just got to work.
And you get started with the Trick Daddy. Why was it important to get started with that track?
Yeah, man, because Nan Nigga is just like, my Trick is like, that's the anthem for Florida. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, for South Florida, that's us. Like, you throw that on anywhere, period, you're good, you know. And you know, it just felt like the best way to kick it all off. And I basically start by naming a bunch of places that I used to be at and dwell in, and just kind of showing them on television. On YouTube and whatnot. Just trying to get to a place where it's like, all right, man, like, this is how we gonna set it off. This is where I've been at. This is the part of South Florida that I experienced, and I want you guys to see it, you know? Yeah.
And then we also have to talk about the Atlanta, the TV show, the influence on it. Did that kind of spark this inspiration, or did you already kind of have it because, you know, on Twitter and all of these internet places we hear about Florida Man already? So was it the show? Did you already have the idea and it kind of complemented? How did those kind of play out?
It was definitely directly inspired by them. When I thought about a mixtape, I was thinking about, okay, well, what's the last mixtape I really enjoyed that I felt was a mixtape, and that was Stone Mountain by Gambino. It just felt really nice to have like a mixtape that was a mixtape that like led into an EP, like how most mixtapes usually do. So I was listening to that, and I don't know what happened, but it made me think of Atlanta, because obviously in the new season that just started, I thought about the Florida Man episode, and then it just all clicked. I was like, oh, this is it. You know what I mean? And I just got straight to work. I think we did everything in maybe like 2 or 3 weeks, give or take. Yeah.
Crazy. Is there an importance to this area right here as far as the high school and the barbershop?
Yeah, man. Miramar High School is the school that I grew up in. This church is my church that I went to high school, that I went to pre-K in and got baptized twice in. The barbershop is my actual barbershop. That's the place that I first started selling CDs at, and one of the places where, like, you know, him and I would always meet up at, and he would give me free cuts as long as I just kept, you know, rapping. So all those places were significant. Yeah,
definitely. And then as far as the woman who kind of narrates and runs us through the tracks, we gotta shout her out.
Yeah, man, it's DJ Luna. You know what I mean? Definitely someone who's been like a really good friend of mine. She's been really influential in the community that's coming up, and had a pulse on what's about to happen. And so it felt really important for me to have her be a part of this project, because I feel like she's very influential to what's going on in the city that the city knows about, but outside of the city, they don't really know.
And then, of course, Know Your Cause.
Yeah.
This video, like, do we call it like stop motion animated? Like, what is that style even called? Because it's so dope.
We slowed it down. We slowed down the actual MP3. So, and I like basically performed it extra animated, and then we sped it up, the actual like film, so that it can kind of come off as, and give that like old school, like, early 90s, late 90s / early 2000s feel. Missy Elliott, Busta Rhymes.
That's why it feels animated. Like, it's not just speed up, slow down. It's like speed up, slow down, but like with an animation aspect to it. Like, you guys are doper than you're letting off. It's cool.
Real subtleties, man. Real subtleties. You know what I mean? But this was this one was really fun to do. These are just all my friends from high school that I like. They're all artists, and we all rap together. And one of our friends had a backyard, and the front yard was just kind of where we used to always chill at. And it was just kind of like, all right, let's just enjoy this. Let's really enjoy this and be here. Like, let's get our feet like wet. It's kind of like coming back to Florida. It starts off like it's the premise. Then these are all the places I used to go to. So now I'm linking up with homies, And then the second part comes in, and it's a tribute to XXXTentacion, and we just kind of decided to have like an open place that, the tree was a little symbolization, what I'm saying, because of the tat, you know what I mean?
And people caught it, so that's super dope. People like, oh, so that just very dope, subtle symbolism is super dope.
Yeah, man, he meant a lot to the community, and I was there when he died, and I was literally working on. I wasn't there like with him, but I was in South Florida when he died, and we were working on Florida Man, literally in the middle, working on it. And Jonathan was literally about to come out and start shooting everything. So it was just like, all right, man, we gotta figure something out. We gotta pay some type of respect.
Anything else you want to say about these two?
Nah, man. This is the kickoff. It's like, Know Your Cause is very like, it's like, know why you're doing this, and then roll in peace. It's like, all right, now you do your own thing. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, man, I really love this visual though, a lot.
Like, it's gorgeous, and it just shows that like you can do. Like, I'm always fascinated in music videos when people do them correctly. They're not super over the top, but they're still gorgeous, and there's still like message and meaning and symbolism behind them to show that it's like artistic visions can be very easy to create, but just amazing to execute. So.
Yeah, 100%. I always felt like we worked because we had to, like we worked with what we had, and because of that always allowed for a lot of innovation. I feel like sometimes having all the resources can kill the idea before it even gets started, and not having that much can create even more than you expected.
Yeah, the interesting ways of the world.
Yeah.
All right, next one. Snappers on Sunday.
Yeah, man. So the title in itself is just synonymous in South Florida. When you're off, well, at least my family, like every other Sunday, sometimes we'd go to Snappers and it'd be like, yo, fried fish, fried conch, like conch fritters, sauce, French fries, like greens, cakes and stuff. And so I just wanted to like pay homage to like a restaurant that is only in South Florida that people know about, you know what I mean? And it's like we used a Lil Baby record and just wanted to kind of get into the motion of it, like this, just being proud of these staples, like, so we posted up in front of the Snappers. It was raining for a little bit, because that's how South Florida do. It was so crazy. I was a little worried about shooting here because usually I hadn't been back in a few years, maybe like 3-4 years in that area and kicking it, and the city had changed so much, or the city's changing so much, but we had so much support. It was just like, yo, you can shoot here, don't worry about it, you good. Like, it was great, man.
That's what you need to. Like, you need to be able to go home and shoot where you need to, and you know what I mean, create things and be able to collaborate as a community. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
What is your order at Snappers?
Man, I usually just get the shrimp dinner, man, with the fries. Keep it real simple. I'm not too crazy. I might get me like red velvet cake, You know what I mean? But that's about it. And then a bottle of water, because you can't, you can't OD too much.
Red velvet.
Get
kids.
the red velvet cake
Snappers.
at Snappers. It's pretty delicious. It is.
And then we're running into Bag of the Week featuring G Mighty. Introduce us to G Mighty.
G Mighty is my little brother, Breon Carter. And I came back home, and me and him just kind of started like politicking, and he was telling me that he raps. I was like, all right, man. And then, he wrote the whole record. I mean, I wrote my verse, but like he wrote the hook, he wrote his verse, and he did everything without really with no effort. And he had like a great voice, and he was clear, and he had a concise thought, but he represents a different reality that I do, which I thought was really intriguing. And he's just a good dude, man. He hit me not too long ago. It was like, yo, man, I'm ready. And I'm like, all right, man. And so, I'm going to go back home and set him up with a little setup, see if we can get him popping, But he has a lot of charisma, man, and he's the youth, you know what I mean? So I'm proud of him. I'm so proud of him.
And then is this his neighborhood, or what neighborhood is this?
So this is County Line Road. This is where me and my brother spend a lot of time at, you know what I mean? Like that apartment complex is like where we used to like mob at and whatnot, and where we used to live for a while. And it was just kind of like, let's just hop on the roof, hop in front of it. Brought my mother out, you know what I mean? And we just kind of pay homage to where we used to rock at, So real cool, man. Real dope area. Anybody who passes by there knows where that area is at.
The roof is just so gorgeous. Like,
right?
Goodness.
You see that sky?
Yeah.
That sky is gorgeous, man. But you see, South Florida is like that. It's just that the videos are always just kind of like, or what we see or what's perpetuated in front of us is always like super ridiculous. But I'm like, man, South Florida is beautiful. It's really gorgeous, Yeah, man.
And then as far as we've seen a couple different looks in this video, did you style yourself? Did you have a stylist? What was the clothing options like?
What's funny is like I wasn't looking to do this on purpose, but a lot of the stuff that I wore in these videos, I literally went through a binge before I went to South Florida of just online shopping. I was just picking stuff for the summer that I liked, and it just kind of all came out. I was like, oh wow, this works out. So we just switch up stuff and keep it moving. Yeah.
That leads us to Do Not Question.
Yeah.
The real OGs know the capitalization and why it's necessary.
Yes, they do.
I love it so much.
Man.
The championship belt.
Yeah, Intercontinental Championship belt, man.
Mm-hmm.
Intercontinental Championship belt represents like the worker. It's you got the WWE Championship, which is like the flagship, like you're the man. When people want to do an interview about like WWE, they send you like you're the face of the company. But the Intercontinental Championship is like the one before it. It's like, okay, you're the worker, you're the one who can put on the matches, you're the one who can put on a great fight, a great night. You know how to your stuff, and I've always prided myself on being a worker. That's why we wore the Razor Ramon jacket, and we shot this in Miramar, I believe. And my boy Jeff Rambo is in this again with the championship, and we just go off.
Would you say that was your favorite wrestler growing up, or did you have another favorite?
My favorite wrestlers growing up initially were always like the Rock and Stone Cold, because I mean, obviously, you just kind of, I was in that era, and it was just like, whoa. But then as I grew, I started like understanding stories, and then Shawn Michaels became one of my favorites. Triple H, just for sheer like longevity and surviving the times, but Razor Ramon, like as I grew, I was like, wow, this guy's astounding, you know what I mean? And he's a visionary too, man. Like a lot of people don't know that he like started the Sting campaign. Like he gave like Sting like the whole like new shtick, like where he's like wearing like all black and everything. Like he's a genius. He knows how to really like entertain wrestling,
Yeah, I always like D-Generation X, but I think it's just because they were so explicit and we were young and they're like, oh, this is cool because it's so explicit. Like, that was it. I remember like The Rock came out with that book, and that was like the biggest thing in our 5th grade class was that book that The Rock wrote, and we all had to read it.
Damn. It was The Rock, Mick Foley, and Stone Cold all dropped books. I remember that, man. Insanity, man. I love DX. I loved Shawn Michaels. I loved him because he was so good and he was just such an asshole. And it's like you had to just deal with it. It's like, yeah, I'm here and I'm the best and I don't care and I'm gonna show up late and you're gonna deal with it because I'm the best. It's like can't be mad at the guy, man.
What's the significance of the basketball court in this one?
This one was merely just kind of like for like we felt like okay we have like this wrestling gear but like doesn't make sense for us to be like in a ring, you know what I mean, like the most like athletic or like sports driven thing that we always had in South Florida was like the basketball. It was not even like football fields, like yeah we did football like you know but you know you went to the court, you know people played where you know South Florida people played football on basketball courts like on some, you know what I mean, so yeah, it was just kind of like let's go to the one that meant the most to us, and that was in West Myanmar at Renaissance Middle School, and we just posted up. Yeah.
Now we're at County Line Road with Jeff Rambo and Philo B.
Yeah.
You gotta go over another Trick Daddy song. We love it.
Of course.
What was it like making this one?
Beautiful. I started it out, and then I brought my man Jeff Rambo with me. Me and Jeff, like that's my dude, man. I've known him for a very long time. He's a good guy, good soul, great heart. And when I came back, he was like the first person I saw. And you know, he had daughters and everything was just like beautiful. And it's like, yo, man, let's just get back into this thing. And you know, he was telling me what he was working on, and you know, we just got back into it. So I did the record, and I wanted him to hop on it. And we went around to one of the complexes that was kind of like in his neighborhood. And you know, he just told his story, you know what I mean, and then Philo B came in and laid his immaculate verse, and we went to his area out in Hialeah, so it's kind of like the bridge of the gap. Yeah, man. And what's dope is like he's from like Jeff Rambo is from Hollandale / West Palm, and that's a little bit more north, not as much like Miami, but then like Philo B is from Hialeah, which is like Miami, you know. So, you know, so County Line Road is like the separation, and for us it was like, you know, it doesn't matter where you from, like let's come together, you know, like if you're from here, you from there, let's just bridge the gap. Yeah, we all got the same stories, you know.
And then how did you know Philo B for a while? Did you just meet him? What's that collaboration?
Yeah, Philo B was made aware to me by DJ Luna, and DJ Luna had a mixtape, a compilation that she was putting together with a bunch of artists that she really respects, and she wanted me and Philo to be on the same record, and we did the record, and his verse was dope, my verse was dope. And then I was working on a Florida Man Mixtape, and my man Prez P was like, yo, you got to get Philo on here for the culture. And I'm like, all right, man. So I hit up Philo, and I'm like, yo, man, I'm working on this record, you know, could you do this verse? And he just completely bodied it, man. He was amazing. Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about County Line Road?
Man, that's just like that's the divide, you know, Dade and Broward County. You know what I mean? You get to, and I spent a lot of time in those confines. Like, in fact, all of these videos were kind of like shot within that middle ground. You know, there's like from Miami Gardens to like maybe like Hollywood. It's like the middle ground of South Florida. You know, it's like you can get to like the other side quickly. And it's not until like you go super north or like super south where you're like, okay, I'm deep in the trenches. But like all of us kind of existed in this little like middle pocket where you could be in Dade County or Broward County at any given time, you know. So it's just the togetherness, you know.
I just think that's so interesting too, because so many of these names of these places sound familiar to all of us, whether it's from Florida rappers or just hearing Florida in the news, whatever. So it's like for you to be able to connect these dots for people who've never been to Florida or have only visited it, like is very important to us, because we want to know, you know, the lay of the land and what it looks like and how it connects and what that looks like. So I appreciate you for breaking that down for us, because like now we have the names and the places and it all matches.
Yeah, so of course, man. It's all a thing. Mm-hmm. Trust me.
And then one of my favorites, Capitalistic Nature, featuring Listen to Sin and Busy. Man, I want to start out with your verse though, because it's so interesting. Like, you start out almost talking about like love and what your kind of love looks like, and then kind of bridging that into capitalism and how people confuse love with capitalism and being in love with capitalism and all the things that come with that. What was it like writing that verse?
It was just like a very honest depiction. Like I feel like everybody had like a standpoint, right? Like Sin, like he kind of embodied like his verse embodied like the idea of what it is. You know what I mean? It's like, like what we all strive for sometimes, and especially from us, all three of us like looked up to like Ross and like Hove and all these major boss players. That's why we're like on the beach, you know what I mean, in the sand with like the, like just like kind of trying to like enjoy it. Busy Crook, his verse is interesting too because he comes from a standpoint of like having it and realizing that it doesn't equal happiness. And he's very honest about like his demons and like, he's seen those things, he's touched those things, he's driven those Benzes and Ferraris and come out of it realizing like none of that shit matters. His story is very special. I'm really like excited to see how he continues to unravel it because it's really powerful, and I hope a lot of people understand it. And then mine was just kind of like the bridge, like, hey, these are the things that like, this is what I value, right? And then but these are all also other things that attract me, and it's like it's kind of explaining why we want what we want and why I want what I want, and then also questioning myself. You know what I'm saying? Also being like, dinormous to live on, to live dinormous then live dormant. That's how we on it. We never asked what's really dormant. Why did we let what we let define what's enormous? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm questioning everything now. It's like, why was this important to me? Like, why did these thoughts of capitalism or just being the man means so much to me, and trying to get to the like peak of it. But then also it's like the flip side is like, well, I'm still human. I better get a call about the newest BM before it falls. Pray my BM's evolve with a soul that'll make you fight up with. It's like you still feel it because you're human. So it's never really meant to get over or like deny, but to understand so it doesn't have control of you. I think that's one of my major things too with my music is like I'm not trying to tell people what to do. I'm trying to have people understand what their choices are so their choices don't take control of them.
Such an important lesson. Another Ross track.
Ooh, Penelope Cruz music. You know what I mean? Man, love this video. It's probably my favorite video out of the bunch. We shot it in front of Miami Subs because Miami Subs is a staple in South Florida. And this one was done in Plantation, a little bit deeper in Broward. And yeah, man, this song I really love just because it's like the culmination of like my rap dreams that I've always experienced. We used to just ride around with all these people in the like video I used to ride around with, just like getting bad food and like thinking of girls we could call to possibly like hang out with, and listening to like Kid Cudi and J. Cole and like Kanye and all these guys and being like, what's it like to be there, and that was this song kind of like exemplified a lot of purity, just rolling around at night smoking, like just wondering and trying to get through life too. It was kind of like me revisiting that time and trying to relive it for like a little bit, and also capturing it too so I can always go back to it and remember how that time used to feel. Aston Martin music, well, really it was really Drake's version, which was the Paris Morton music, like dream, like oh, it's all a dream. And also kind of like a closing of a chapter because it's like, well, it's not a dream, like you have your path now. So it's just revisiting that time and being like, wow, this is what it was like and this is how it is now for me. Yeah,
very reflective and dope.
Yeah,
you already know what I'm gonna ask. What's your Miami Subs order?
Man, to be honest, Miami Subs, I don't have a Miami Subs order. Miami Subs is just kind of like the dependable late night option.
Like, if you don't have an order, is that a bad thing? But okay, that's a good thing.
Everything there's pretty like good. It's like it's one of those things where you just go to and you're like, all right, man, like whatever you get. Like I might get a cheesesteak sometimes. I might get like the chicken tenders. I might get a burger. I might just get a salad. And I've literally like those options are all valid. Like it's not like I don't think anyone ever has like a favorite Miami Subs order. Everything's pretty good.
Is it? It's mostly sandwiches.
Yeah, it's mostly sandwiches, wings.
I mean, it's open late.
Yeah, so like there's some that are open 24 hours, which is crazy. But most of the time they're open till like 4 o'clock. you know, a lot of people get out of the club and, you know, pull up, line around the block and stuff. Yeah, man, it's so dependable and it's pretty good food.
For the people who don't know, why Penelope Cruz?
So my friend at the time, Andres, he used to have a car, and he used to call it Penelope Cruz. You know what I mean? Because, you know, obviously. So we would always just, it was like we used to always just be in that car, and you know, we would just rock out, and we would just drive around, listening to music, trying to, you know, making music, dreaming, trying to figure stuff out. So it's kind of just, it was all a homage back to that time, man.
It's such an interesting thing too, because I almost want to say it's a small town thing, but it's also almost any city that you live in, you're gonna do that. You get a car, you drive around, and you just listen to music and get food and do whatever. Like it's very just across the board. Everybody does it.
Yeah, that's why Money Trees was so important by Kendrick. 'Cause it was just like, who doesn't relate to that, you know?
And now middle of South Florida with Prez P.
Yeah, so middle of South Florida over middle of summer by Playboy Cardi. Prez P is a North Miami legend. You know what I mean? In the making, and legend really, period. But he's definitely like one of the most prominent MCs coming out of South Florida on the rise right now. And I've known him for a few years. And it was just long overdue for us to like make a record. And middle South Florida is North Miami. It's like, all right, you know, like this is the middle point. Like, you know, there's deep Miami, then there's like Broward, but it's like middle South Florida is North Miami, you know. And we went to North Miami High School, shot in front of it a little bit. It's a staple for North Miami. Shot around some of the corner stores that we be rocking to, and we just had a good time, man. It's kind of like the break, right? Like South Florida, we go through a lot of stuff. And we have a lot of, you know, things that we're thinking of, like whether it's the bag of the week, hustling, or trying to like remain like focused on what we're going after, or being proud of where we're from. Like, but this is just like the let loose. Like, all right, we in Miami, like, and that's the great thing, right? It's like South Florida is dope because you can always be stressed out, but in a blink of a dime, be like, let's go to the beach. You know what I'm saying? Let's smoke a blunt. Let's go to the beach. Let's pick up some girls, and let's get some drinks. And you can live like a king for a whole like weekend because it feels like you're living like a king, you know? It's really wild, man.
I always think of what did Frank Ocean say? He said, why travel the world when you can go to the beach? And I think that beach mentality can either help you or hurt you, just depending on who you are internally, to where it's like, yeah, you can just go to the beach and let that be it, or you can let going to the beach carry you into the next endeavor that you're into. Like, it's really just about what your mindset is, but it's like it can definitely be a helping or hurting thing, just the gorgeousness and the water and the trees and all that good stuff.
It's why a lot of people don't leave, man. I mean, it's just beautiful, and I realized that too, because with rap, like I wanted to leave because I wanted to rap, but then when I started leaving, I really started realizing how beautiful Miami is and how beautiful South Florida is. It's just like, I've been living in this paradise this whole time, and you know, I can see why like people don't leave or don't even feel the need to, because in a blink of a dime you can be in paradise, you know. Blink of an eye, man.
You're good. Anything else you want to say about middle of South Florida?
Man, I just really loved like how fun this was. I don't think I've had fun shooting music videos, but like the energy here was just dope. It was just like homies, people pulling up. Like, we had a few fans out there that were in the video. It was just like super like. And then we did the second part in Sherman Circle, which is like a really important place to me as well. I used to spend a lot of time there. So this was definitely the most, or one of the most fun videos to like do, for sure.
And then, of course, Ruth Williams. For your grandma.
Yeah, man. This video was shot in the backyard of her apartment complex.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. This was her backyard. This is where she passed away at. She passed away in that apartment complex. And me and my little cousin, we used to come in that backyard and play and just like look at the lake, and she would take us back there and we would eat food out there. That's why we're at the end of the video, we like I sit down and I just kind of like pay my homage, because that's where we spent most of our time at. And so it just only made sense to like wrap it up in the back of her complex and just like, you know what I mean? Like just give it like one last hurrah. Like, you know, hey man, this is for you. You know, thank you for everything you've done for us. you know.
What was it like writing that verse? Because it almost starts out as like an obituary and then kind of turns into the story of her life. How did you kind of plot that out?
I just kind of was like, when I went to the funeral, I didn't really get to say much, and so my approach to writing this was like, well, if I did get a chance to say something, what would I say? And this was kind of like everything, and wrapping up the album and like, I mean, the mixtape and where I'd been, and apologies in advance, and how much my grandmother's legacy meant to me and touched me, and just trying to like convey what all these things meant and why she was important, while also staying true to like my narrative as well and how it aligns. So yeah, and I wanted it to be as touching and as revealing as possible, very like last callish, you know what I mean? So yeah, and we just gave it like the last hurrah, man, and wrote the credits at the end. And I think this was, funny enough, I think this was the first video that we shot when Jay pulled up. I was telling him about the whole concept, and we went and got coffee in Hollywood where he was staying. And I was just like, yo, man, like, let's just go and shoot this video right quick. And so he came out, and we just went, and he quickly realized how hot it was. Like, shit was hot as fuck. And we got it done in like 2 to 3 hours. And that kind of set everything ablaze.
Anything else you want to tell the people about Florida Man itself?
Man, we just getting started with Florida Man, yo. Like, just in terms of like the like of what it is, like, yeah, the energy has been capsuled into this mixtape, but like I have plans to really like to really travel this thing, or at least not necessarily like the project itself, because the way I want it, the besides like every other reason as to why we did Florida Man, one of my personal reasons why is because I wanted my own streets is watching, where it was like 20 years from now, 10 years from now, people gonna be like, yo, Florida Man, all those videos, dog, you shot this as grandmother. It's gonna be like, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying, go down there, check that out, because that's what South Florida is like, and that's where all these MCs that are growing up are gonna be coming from. It's like, it's a very special time, and the city really felt it, so I look forward to like taking that energy and continuing it. Yeah.
And the detail in it is just so incredible, like dropping it at the time of the area code and just being very thorough with all of it, like just really helps just push the message and the movement forward. Definitely.
Thank you, man. I always try to like make sure that whatever I do is like felt and like slick, so it's like you may not catch it the first or second or third time. When you do, it'll be like, oh, nice little nugget,
That's my shit.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's a difference in rap.
I love it so much. Anything else you want to tell the people in general?
Man, to everyone who's watched Florida Man, thank you so much. And if you haven't, I hope that this beautiful breakdown will give you an introduction into this world that we were fortunate enough to create through Ireland, and to visit South Florida whenever you get the chance, because it's beautiful. And that's all I can say. And love you, Grandma.
I love it. So good. And I'm excited to see what comes next, because like you said, this is so phenomenal that it can be a movement. It can be, you know what I mean? It shows so much more for Florida.
Yeah.
So you can I can't even imagine what's gonna happen next, but I know that you have so many tricks up your sleeve, so I'm just juiced to see where you go with it.
Yeah, man, I got some things, man. I'm gonna really put some things together. I really love South Florida, and it's literally only the beginning.
Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Sylvan.
Of course, no worries. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
No problem. If you want more Sylvan LaCue in your life, right there, down below, we did a podcast. We talked all about apologies in advance. Make sure you check that out down below. And then click right there for more videos and to subscribe. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.